Welcome back. So in this video, we're gonna talk about how you can do integration and build application using Angular and integrate it to Liferay. So in the first video, we show how you can use Liferay compiler, build modules, and then those modules will have like GSP page, backend codes. You can write JavaScript on the GSP page. You can even write Angular application, which is not the best way since Angular developer likes to use their Angular tool. So in this video, I'll show web developer, Angular, React, whatever any JavaScript framework, how they can use their own web tool to build modules and integrate it in Liferay. So I included all the code and steps that I'm gonna use in this video inside a file, and you're gonna find this file in a link under the video so you can open it and you can follow the steps while you're watching the video. One thing also I have is the link for the documentation. So you can go through this documentation. There's a couple of steps. I'm not going to do it in a demo here, but you can do it through that documentation, which is installing the Liferay Yeoman tools for creating Angular applications. So you need to install something called generator-liferay.js, and this is what build Angular application that are deployable on Liferay. And they're basically Angular applications, just have some libraries to make them deployable on Liferay. So all what I did before this video is just running that command to install my tools. So I'm gonna start from here. So now I'm gonna start building an application. I have a folder here empty. You can see here that folder is empty, has nothing. So I'm gonna start building my Angular application. So first command I have here, which is on the application, is yo liferay-yes. So right. So here I'm gonna go through a dialog with the tool to build the right application for me. So it asked me first what application I want to do. I want to do JavaScript widget, Angular, React, Vue, or Middle.js. Middle.js, in case you didn't hear about that before, this is Liferay JavaScript libraries. So you can build, this is more proprietary libraries. You need to learn it. We build it for our single page application. You don't need to learn it to build the application. You can just use Angular, which is what I'm going to use now here. So I'm going to pick up Angular, and now it asks me what's the name of my application. I'm going to name it my first Angular Liferay. Okay, and now it asks me what do you want the name of the application. So I'm going to keep it the same, my first Angular Liferay, and click next. And then ask me, do you want to support localization? For this video, I'm gonna say no. And then ask me here, are you sure you are using Liferay 7.2? Which is, I'm sure, that's why I'm gonna say yes here. And then ask me what category, under which categories you want this application to be listed. So if you recall from the previous demo, I had, when I add my application, so I had an application under the demo folder. You can name what categories you want to have here. Even if you don't have one, you can create a new one, which is what I'm going to do here now in the demo. So I'm going to create one, name it Angular app. All right, so, and then ask me here, do you have a local installation for Liferay, which is yes. So when I click yes here, anytime I build the application, it will deploy it directly inside my application file. If I don't have this, I can just simply say no, and I can build it. So every time I do a change, I do a build file, create the jar file, and we're gonna see this also in one of the steps. And then once I have that file, I can manually deploy it inside Liferay. So I'm gonna click yes for now, and then ask me where I have my folder. So I'm just gonna copy the link for my folder. So I have my folder here. That's my folder. Just gonna have the link, the path, I'm sorry. So I have the path here for my Liferay installation. And here it asks me, do you want to generate sample code? I'm just gonna say yes. You can see how that looks like. And now it's just creating my app for me. So it should take less than 30 seconds to do that. So I'll be waiting for this. And Once that completed, I can actually open it using the Visual Studio, and which is most of the web developer using it to create and edit Angular application. So that is getting created for me. So that got created. So I'm gonna actually go to my file on my desktop for my Angular application, and you can see my first Angular app got created. So I can just open it with my Visual Studio Code. You can see here, this is basically now an Angular application. So you can go through your app. You have your app.html where this is your first components, the default components that you have here. And also under the source tab, you do also have your TS code. So that's where you can add your code, and you have the app modules as well. And that's where you create your components and refer inside the app module. So that's the default module here. Okay, I'm not going to do any changes. I'm going to deploy this in Liferay so you can see how it looks like as default. So I add some simple apps here. You can see on the components here, I actually use some variables coming from Liferay. So if you went inside the package.json, you can see there is some libraries that was installed that related to Liferay. So those are libraries related to Liferay that was installed. And with those libraries, you're gonna have access to variables coming from Liferay. So if you want to access session variables, you want to access any other variables on Liferay, you can use it now. And they give you some examples here to some variables that you can have it available. So let's see how that looks like. So now inside my folder, if I actually went to my application, I can start deploying this on Liferay, and here's the command to do that. So there is the npm run deploy. So npm run deploy, that means I'm going to deploy this Angular application on Liferay now. So I'm going to do that. First time doing this command, it would take around 4 or 5 minutes, just first time, because I download a lot of libraries and then deploy everything to Liferay. After this, anytime you do your rebuild, you just simply do the same command. It wouldn't take more than 10 seconds, even less than 10 seconds to do that. So I'm gonna pause the video until it download all the libraries and deploy it to Liferay, and then we'll resume after that. So now you can see my application got built and it actually got deployed into Liferay. So you can see here in Liferay, my first Angular application got deployed. So you can see here it got started and got deployed inside my application. All right. So let's see how that looks like. So if I went back to my browser here and just hit refresh. So I'm gonna log in now one more time. So those are my Angular application that I built using the Eclipse environment in a previous video. So on the same page, I'm going to add the Angular application I deployed right now. So if I went under widgets, you can see here there is the Angular apps, and there is my first Angular application ready to be added here. So I'm just going to drag and drop, add this here. And now you can see if I actually just refresh my page, you can see my Angular app shows the default parameters. So you can get the namespace, you can get the context path, you can get the portlet element ID configuration. So you can get a lot of details from Liferay inside your Angular app. So let's say I want to just now deploy an application and actually just add some libraries and then add nice graph application inside my Angular app. So let's see how we can do that. So there is if you guys didn't try this before, there's a library, JavaScript library called HighShorts. They actually have very nice graphs that I really like to use them. So I'm going to install those libraries inside my Angular app and use them inside my code. So there's two commands here. I'm just gonna copy paste and start installing in my app. So I have my app here. So this is my app, my first app here, and I'm going to install this HighShard application. So I'm going to install the first one and also require this HighChart Angular. So this is what allows you to use components from HighChart inside your Angular application. So I'm going to install that one as well. Right, so now I have this installed. I can actually start using this inside my code. So if I actually went in my Visual Studio Code, the first thing I want to do, I want to go to my app module, and I want to have the HighCharts module referred inside my app module here. So I can actually go inside the imports, add this here, and of course you know that you need to have a copy for the imports inside the module section, so I'm gonna add this as well here. Sorry for that, so I'm just gonna copy this again. Right, so I added this here already. The next step I need to do is inside my app component.ts, I need to start building my graph. So basically I build a graph in the app component.ts, and then I'm gonna add the HTML component inside the HTML code inside the app.component.html. So this is just basically Angular way of adding the code. So I'm going to add my imports. So I have those imports that I want to add here. So basically I'm just importing the HighCharts. I'm importing some apps here. You can go online and HighCharts Angular, and you can see what imports you need to have. And I'm basically building the chart right now here. So it's a drill down chart, which means when you click on the pie chart, it would actually show more details. So it's a pretty nice looking chart. So we'll see how that looks like. And I have the data for the charts that it's basically static data that I created here. I'm just gonna copy paste this. So I'm gonna just copy paste all of that inside my app. So I'm gonna have this here, and under the component I'm going to add. So basically what I added here is the two parameters for let me go up here. So I add a new high chart, and then the high chart options, which is basically telling the chart how I want it to look like. So I want it to be a pie chart, and this is the variable and how to drill down variables as well. Okay, so you're gonna have all the access to the code. You can review it again, and you can build similar charts if you want. The final thing is I need to add the HTML for this component on my component page, so it would actually call that code and draw the charts. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to, let me save this, make sure it's saved. I'm going to the HTML, and I will delete all of that, just add my code here. So this is basically my chart that should be deployed. So finished building my Angular app. I want to now deploy it on Liferay. So let's see how we can do this. So I'm going back here, and I will write the same command so that, here we go. So the np and run deploy. So doing this, it actually gonna deploy all my code that I just built and add it inside Liferay. It may take a little bit of time just because I deployed extra libraries right now. But again, if I did any change after this library, it should go pretty fast. It's just because I have new libraries that got deployed that need to deploy it to Liferay as well. So you can see here the app got deployed. So if I actually went to my file, you can see now my app got redeployed again. So if I actually went to my folder here and just hit refresh, should get started. Actually, let me delete the other app as well. Just make sure, just because I'm actually using two different Angular versions, they may have conflicts. Usually you should have only used one. So once I deleted the other two, which is the using different Angular versions, that's why it's actually showing it now. In real case scenario, you're always going to use the same Angular version in all your apps. Anyway, so now you can actually see that I have my Angular application got deployed, and you can actually now start using it. You can see now you can drill down to more values, and this is basically your Angular app. Let's say you want to do any change on the runtime. Now you have all your library deployed. You should not be taking a long time as it happened before. So if I actually went back here and let's say I'm gonna do some changes, just maybe on the top here, I'm gonna add some HTML. Welcome to Fadi Hakim test Angular app. Right, so I'm gonna just add this here, save it, redeploy that time one more time. That should not take time. It should actually take less than 20 seconds to do that. So we're gonna monitor this right now. I'm not gonna pause the video. You can see it got deployed, and in my logs here, it would actually um stop the application, restart the application. So that's all what you need to do. Now if I actually went to my page and just hit refresh, you can see now my changes got reflected and got added here, and I was able to add this nice graph using Angular on my page here. So this is just simply how you can add an application. In Liferay documentation, you can actually transform existing Angular application to be deployed on Liferay. So if you already created an existing app, you can make it readable by Liferay, so you can transform it, add the libraries, and you can deploy it in Liferay. You don't need to restart from scratch. Just follow the documentation for this. I'm not going to cover it in the video. So if you have an existing Angular app, you can convert it and redeploy it in Liferay if you want to do that. Thank you.